In this video/lesson, we will be looking at clouds. Now, clouds are one of nature's most consistently visible wonders and can also tell us a lot about what is going up in the atmosphere. Find out how much clouds are made of, how they form, and all the names for many and magnificent types I'm going to show you. I'm going to be telling you 5 different species of clouds. The first one is called an altostratus cloud. Now, altostratus evolves as a thin layer from a gradually thickening veil of cirrostratus and is usually grey or blue, with very few features. The height of base is 6.5 to 20,000 feet. The shape is layered and featureless. Latin altum /height, stratus flattened or spread out, and the precipitation is none. Now, you might be probably wondering, what are they? Now, altostratus clouds are a large mid-level sheet of thin cloud, usually composed of a mixture of water droplets and ice crystals. They are thin enough in parts to allow you to see the sun weakly through the cloud. They are often spread over a very large area and are typically featureless. Now, how do they form? Now, altostratus layers are often composed of both water and ice, and usually form when a layer of cirrostratus descends from a higher level. The sun often cannot cast shadows when shining through altostratus clouds. These layers can sometimes contribute to the formation of optical effects, such as coronas and iridescence. Now, what weather is associated with them? Now, altostratus clouds often form ahead of a warm or occluded front. As the front passes, the altostratus layer deepens and bulks out to become nimbostratus, which produces rain or snow. As a result, sighting it can usually indicate a change in the weather is on the way. The next species of cloud is the cirrocumulus clouds. The cirrocumulus is a relatively rare cloud, forming ripples which may resemble honeycomb. The height of base is 20 to 40,000 feet. The shape is layers of patches or cells. Latin cirrus meaning lock or tuft of hair, and cumulus means heap. The precipitation is none. Now, what are they, you may ask? Well, cirrocumulus clouds are made up of lots of small white clouds called cloudlets, which are usually grouped together at high levels. Composed almost entirely from ice crystals, the little cloudlets are regularly spaced, often arranged as ripples in the sky. Cirrocumulus cloud can sometimes appear to look like the scaly skin of a fish and is referred to as a mackerel sky. Now, how do they form? Cirrocumulus cloudlets are usually made up of both ice and supercooled water. This means that the water remains a liquid, even at temperatures well below 0 degrees Celsius. They form when turbulent vertical currents meet a cirrus layer, creating the puffy cumulus shape. Cirrocumulus clouds can also form through contrails, the vapor trails left by planes as they fly through a dry upper troposphere. These streaks can spread out and become cirrus, cirrostratus, and cirrocumulus. Now, what weather is it? Precipitation from cirrocumulus clouds never reaches the surface, meaning that these clouds are usually associated with fair weather. However, their appearance can often prelude stormy weather, meaning you should make the most of the sun while you still can. The next one is called stratus clouds. Now, they tend to be featureless, low-altitude clouds that cover the sky in a blanket of white or grey. The height of base is 0 to 1,200 feet. The shape is layered. The Latin word stratus means flattened or spread out, and the precipitation is light. Now, what are they? Now, stratus clouds are low-level layers with a fairly uniform grey or white colour. Often a scene of dull, overcast days in its nebulous form, they can persist for long periods of time. They are the lowest lying cloud type and sometimes appear at the surface in the form of mist or fog. Now, how do they form? Stratus clouds form in calm, stable conditions when gentle breezes raise cool, moist air over colder land and ocean surfaces. These clouds can exist in a variety of thicknesses and are sometimes opaque enough to darken days, allowing for little light to pass through. Now, what weather is it? Stratus is usually accompanied by little to no rainfall, but if it's thick enough, it can produce light drizzle. This drizzle can also fall in the form of light snow if cold enough. The fourth one is lenticular clouds. These lens-shaped orographic wave clouds form when the air is stable and winds blow across hills and mountains from the same or similar direction at different heights through the troposphere. The height of base is 6,500 to 16,500 feet. The shape is curved layers like flying saucers. Latin altocumulus lenticularis equals like a lens. Precipitation is none. Now what are they? These strange unnatural looking clouds sometimes form downwind of hills or mountains. They are quite unusual in the British Isles, but do occasionally occur. They look like a lot like the traditional shape of flying saucers in science fiction, and real lenticular clouds are believed to be one of the most common explanations for UFO sightings across the world. Now, how do they form? When air blows across the mountain range in certain circumstances, it can set up a train of large standing waves in the air downstream, rather like ripples forming in the river when water flows through an obstruction. If there is enough moisture in the air, the rising motion of the wave will cause water vapor to condense, forming the unique appearance of lenticular clouds. Now, what weather is associated with it? Lenticular clouds are a visible sign of mountain waves in the air. However, these waves can be present beyond the clouds and may exist when no clouds are formed. On the ground, they can result in very strong gusty winds in one place, with still air only a few hundred meters away. Pilots of powered aircraft tend to avoid flying near lenticular clouds because of the turbulence that accompany them. Skilled and brave glider pilots, on the other hand, like them because they can tell from the shape of the clouds where the air will be rising. Our final species of cloud is called noctilucent clouds. Now, they are extremely rare, very high clouds seen in the night sky, usually on clear summer nights. They become visible about the same time as the brightest stars and are usually bluish or silvery. The height of base is 200,000 feet. The shape, they often closely resemble thin streaky cirrus, though other shapes are often seen. They are usually blue or silver in colour, but sometimes orange or red. Latin noctilucent mean night shining, and precipitation is none. Now what are they? Well, noctilucent clouds are extremely rare collections of ice crystals, occasionally appearing in late clear summer evenings after sunset. But before it gets completely dark, they become visible about the same time as the brightest stars appear and often stay visible after dark because they are still reflecting sunlight due to their great height. They are higher up than any other clouds, occupium the layer of atmosphere known as the mesosphere, and are only seen in latitudes between 45 degrees N and 80 degrees N in the northern hemisphere, and equivalent latitudes in the southern hemisphere. They are seen less often in the southern hemisphere, as they have very little land and very few people there. Only the southern tip of Argentina and Chile and the Antarctic are at the correct latitude. Now, how do they form? Like many clouds, noctilucent clouds need water vapor, dust, and very low temperatures to form. Low temperatures are easily attainable in the mesosphere, but water vapor or dust are in short supply. The dust may well come from tiny meteors from space, but although dust from volcanoes or man-made pollutants may add to these, scientists believe that the moisture comes through the gaps in the tropopause, or perhaps from the chemical reaction of methane and other chemicals. Now finally, what weather is associated with them? Now these clouds are far too high to have any effect on the weather of the ground. See you soon for a bedtime story. How exciting is that? Bye!